Welcome, y'all. My name is Andy. This is Epeius Garage, and today I am upgrading our mantle for less than 60 bucks and no fasteners to the wall or the mantle. So I figure I would share it with you like I always do. I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I did make some plans, very customized, so it probably wouldn't help you any. I'll give some of those dimensions maybe along the way as we're going. I wanted to give a shout out though to Joel at Saw Blade Woodworks. He sent me some cool stickers and business cards. I'm going to put one of these in my shop. So I appreciate that. I think this is the first time somebody sent me something to my new PO address, which is very cool. It's always fun to get stuff in the mail. So go ahead and check out his Instagram. I'll link it in the description and tell him I said what's up. On another note with stickers, I am giving away free stickers as well. All you have to do is send me an empty envelope with your address and postage on it, and I'll turn around, put a couple stickers in there, and send it right back to you. You don't even have to put a note in it, but notes are cool. I always enjoy reading them. Let's get to this project and hopefully finish it in one day. I'll see you out in the garage. Well, as we know, big box store lumber isn't the straightest. I did pretty good finding these boards, but they still needed to be edge jointed because I'm going to be doing 45-degree miters to put all this together, and I needed those straight. So what I did is I clamped them to my jig and I run them through my table saw. The jig was originally made for my planer to flatten boards, but I use it for this as well. Once I get that one side nice and straight, I can go ahead and mark that edge so I know which one was jointed, and then I can take it off the jig and run it through the table saw on its own. Once I got both sides nice and straight, I went ahead and set my saw up for the final dimension, which in this case for me, it was going to be 7 3/4 was going to be the width of the boards. After getting the right width, I had to get these the right length. This was I had to get creative here. These boards were going to be 60 3/8 inch long, and I needed them all exactly the same length because of the miter joints. So I had to go ahead and use my tabletop and devise a stop. This way I can make sure all 3 boards were exactly the same length. It actually worked out really well, but sometimes you just got to get creative in your shop. Woodworking has always got strategy, and you always got to be thinking ahead, especially if you want to be successful. So one of the things I'm thinking about is knots. And this piece specifically has a couple good knots with some cracks in it. I'm going to make this my bottom piece because I know on my bottom piece I've got to cut out a section 2.5 inches deep, and it's going to leave me 4 3/16 on each end of these. That will cut out this crack in these knots. So I planned that ahead. That, and on this particular piece, I don't want these type of crack knots on the face or the top. So you kind of just got to plan ahead, and hopefully it works out. For my fireplace, I had to do a cutout on the bottom, as I kind of discussed earlier, to fit around it. So this is me just laying it out. I love this square. It's Capro. It's guaranteed square. It's only like 22 bucks on Amazon. Not sure why I've never linked it before, but I'll link it for you now. It's important to double check your work, y'all. So that's what I'm doing here, just making sure that it's going to be wide enough when I make my cut, so I don't have to go back and cut again. And we are all good to go. I cut this out with my jigsaw. I don't know any other really better way. I didn't use any guides or anything. I just went nice and easy and slow, and I stayed right on the line because I wanted to make sure I wasn't too tight. Awesome. Just tested it. Perfect fit. I am now going to do the 45s. Kind of nervous about this because I don't know how that's going to all come out. But the idea is if I do 45s on here, brace it on the inside, I can make it look more like a solid log. We'll see. All right, let's get that saw set to 45 degrees and start cutting. This is why it was so important for these boards to be perfectly straight on the edges, because I knew I was running these 45-degree miters, and if they weren't straight, it would have been an issue. Well, I told you I would show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, so here comes the ugly. I don't know if you noticed, but By cutting out this first, I made a huge mistake because I still got to put my 45 like the other pieces, and it's like this. But one good thing about woodworking is there's always ways to get around it, and I saved the other piece. What I'm going to do is put it in there, and I got some little shims that I'm going to stick inside the distance to make up for the blade thickness, and I think I'll be all right. We'll see how it works. After shimming, put a temporary board on there just to keep it together, run it through the saw, and I got my 45 along the long edge that I needed. Then I just removed that temporary board. No big deal, time to move on. Little trick I do to get my miters easy lineup on the edge of a board is I put a clean miter cut on the wood with my miter gauge, and then you can easily just line up the corner of your board down there with the cut, and you get a perfect miter gauge right on the end. Works every time. At this point, I really wasn't sure how I was going to glue it up. I was playing around with the idea of taping it all together, kind of like what I've done in other videos with boxes, picture frames, and so forth. I was just really trying to figure it out and find the best way to do this and line everything up. I think I got a plan. So I'd already planned on reinforcing these with these little L brackets because we all know miter joints are not strong. So I was going to place a few of these throughout the inside of it. You won't see them, but it'll give it some reinforcement. I think I'm going to put glue up, put them up, drill, screw these in. That's the idea. I think I'm going to do the end caps very last, cap those off and clamp them down once it's all dry, sand it all down nice. Let's see. Figured out placements of my reinforcements. Then from there, using Titebond 2, got it in all the miter joints and used my little brush to make sure I get good coverage. From there, I'm just able to fold it up and get those first brackets screwed down in place. Once I made sure everything was lined up, of course. And starting off, everything was going good. This first side, got it up, put the reinforcements in, glued the next side, and this is kind of where I ran into problems. Didn't really think this through, but there's not a lot of room in there to screw these down. So I had to get a special little attachment somebody gave me as a gift to screw these screws in because there wasn't room for my impact. So just something to think about. I didn't think about it before this. Before cutting the end caps, I wanted to make sure this was going to fit and there was going to be room for them. So I brought them back inside. I looked at my fit up and everything looked really good. This is going to be a close fit, so I really had to double check this. As for cutting the caps, it was 2 end pieces. Each one had 3 miter cuts, 45 degrees, and I cut to fit. So I slowly cut to my line. I tested it up against the piece, cut, test, back and forth till I had a good fit. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? Well, this wasn't real ugly, but luckily my miters were on point. I just went ahead and added glue to my 3 miter cuts, lined it up, and used my clamps on here. It was not the easiest of clamp up jobs, but I think it turned out pretty cool. I'm gonna let this dry for a little while and maybe try to put those brackets in on the ends, try to hold everything together. Sanding's next. Yay. See, on those gaps, I'm going to use the old glue and sanding trick. I want to round all these corners over, not with a round over bit, but with my sander, 80 grit. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to fill those gaps with sand, and we're not even going to be able to tell those gaps are there. I hope. Now, I want to clarify, my gaps were not bad. They were really good, actually. And anytime I have these, I always start with like an 80 grit, give it a good rough sanding. Then I'm going to switch to my 120 grit, and that's when I'm going to go around and kind of hit these little gaps with glue. I'll show you right here. See, it's not really that bad. I just put a little bit of Titebond 2 wood glue on there with my finger, kind of rub it in good. And then from there, I'm just going to take my 120 grit and kind of go over it and get my round over corner anyways. You don't really want to round it over with 80 grit unless you want your corner to be really aggressively round. And after all that fun stuff, switched my sandpaper out to the final, which is 220. And I also hand sand around the edges just to make sure all the corners are nice and even. Not gonna lie, I was really happy with how it all turned out. You couldn't hardly tell there was any seams at all. I'll be honest, I've never used this. I bought it in case I ever did need it, heard about it. I've never really had a problem with blotchiness, and sometimes I don't think you can tell it's blotchy. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. However, for something this big and flat surface, I figure why not give this a try and see if it makes a difference. I'm kind of curious. Applying this product was really easy. Followed the manufacturer's instructions, stirring it, apply it, pat dry any pooling, let it set for 30 to 45 minutes, then sand it down. I used 500 grit, and then I went ahead and blew it off, and it was ready for stain. So I don't know how much footage, y'all, where my microphone was not hooked up and there was no sound at all. So sorry you don't get to hear me yap to you on camera, but I went ahead and stained this in espresso. It matches the pantry doors I did a while back. You can check that video out. I'll link it. But I just did that color because it matches and we have a lot of dark colors. The stain went on really well. I didn't notice a whole lot of difference between when I normally stain versus with the pre-stain. So I don't know, feel free again, tell me your thoughts of pre-stain in the comments if you have any. No audio again. Ramble on, Andy. Nobody can hear you. Anyways, I use this product by Minwax Polyacrylic. Works great. I really like it. Usually use about 3 to 4 coats and just follow the instructions on the bottle. After 3 coats, let it dry all night. In between coats, hit it with brown packing paper. I always keep this on hand. It's what's on the table right now to protect the table, but that's what I use in between coats. It works really well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and mount it. No fasteners. Started with a little test fit up, and man, y'all, it fit like a glove. I was really happy with this. I drew these out, did the math and the measurements, and it worked out. Just FYI, this took me 1 day to build, 8 hours maybe. You do not have to do these miter joints if you're building this. You could butt joint it, you can do whatever you want, pocket holes. I was just going for more of a seamless look, and I feel like I got it here. As for the adhesive, I went ahead and used like an industrial Loctite adhesive. As far as applying it, you just follow the tube's instructions. I laid a good bead of it down, went ahead and applied the mantle back up on there, and I added weight. And from there, I just let it set the recommended time. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. That's it, y'all. Not too difficult of a project to handle, and I think it turned out really good. As always, I appreciate y'all watching, and if you have anything to say about it, feel free to leave me something in the comments. See y'all next time.